The smell is horrific. Fish just have been piling up along the seashore. They're floating all over the river. Everywhere you go, they're floating on top. You can see them finning on the top of the water as they're actually dying. And it's just really catastrophic.
I've lived in the neighborhood for 9 years and I've never seen anything like this before. Basically, mass amounts of fish have been dying. They've been washing up along the banks of the river right behind us. Sometimes you see them thrashing around, but it's been just like massive, massive quantities over the last couple weeks. On the days when it's a little bit warmer, and especially if the air is still, there's kind of a stench that hangs in the air. It definitely makes me want to avoid this area. You know, I have a dog. We live right here, so we're constantly walking here, so I tend not to bring him back in this area. But like I said, once you're about a block or so away, you really can't smell it. It's really only when you're in the very close vicinity.
Mother Nature's pissed. Yeah, I mean, this just goes along with everything else. Everything's changing around here. The fishing's changing. It's the waters have warmed up. The fish have moved out. Everything's changing from in the last 20 years, and not for the good.
I mean, I definitely hope that it rectifies itself. I'm sure it's not healthy for the ecosystem. It's definitely not a pleasant part of our neighborhood. So yeah, I would hope that there's an end in sight.
Well, people in several parts of the DMV are finding random dead or sick birds everywhere in their neighborhoods, and it's caught the attention of state and local authorities, making many wonder, could the cicadas be playing a role in all this? Aisha Khan is in Arlington tonight talking to wildlife authorities about what could be causing these birds to die.
Yeah, well, so many people, not only in Arlington, but also in parts of Maryland, are talking about this really weird situation with birds either getting really sick or dying and falling in their backyards or their front yards. Some of them even think that maybe pesticide being used on cicadas could be the culprit, but experts we talk with say it's just too soon to know, as the dead birds are being tested and might be a few days before they have the final results. Still, though, they are advising against pesticide being used on cicadas because they say it's not going to necessarily kill the cicadas, rather poison the wildlife that eat them. Now, there are also reports of sick birds from as far west as Winchester and also in Maryland, where people were talking about it on Facebook, about finding dead birds in their neighborhood in the Tacoma Park area, which you can see in pictures. Meanwhile, though, the Animal Welfare League of Arlington tells me they've been busy with getting so many calls about people finding dead birds like grackles and blue jays and crows in their neighborhood. And they shared with us pictures of not the dead birds, but birds that clearly look sick, like having eye infections, injuries, and general weakness, which are common reactions that they say they are noticing in all of these affected birds.
And we do pay attention to eye issues because sometimes that can be a result of infection from dirty bird feeders. If you don't clean your bird feeder, birds can get conjunctivitis and eye issues from that, but it does look a little bit different than the way this is presenting. So we are paying really close attention to these symptoms.
All right, as far as your health is concerned, the Welfare League says there's nothing to worry about when it comes to humans. They do say, though, if you happen to find a dead animal or a dead bird, to just wear gloves, pick it up, and dispose of it. Don't actually bring it to the Welfare League. They also say if you happen to see a sick bird, try not to approach it and just give them a call so they can send one of their officers out to investigate.
Every year, the state puts out a report showing how many manatees died and how. 2018 was the deadliest on record, 804 manatees killed that year. But the most recent report shows more than 750 manatees have already died in 2021. And that only goes through the end of May. If things keep going the way they're going right now, 2021 could become the deadliest year for manatees in recorded history. We sent NBC2's Alex Howard to find out what's killing them and how we can all help.
Well, some experts are blaming the declining manatee populations on water quality. They say as Florida's waters become murkier, less sunlight can reach the bottom and allow for seagrass growth, the primary food for manatees, causing some to starve to death.
Normally, this time of year, the water's a lot clearer. It's just been more algae, just sort of murkier water back here.
A quick boat trip off Captiva, and you can find them. Seagrass beds. And where there's seagrass, there's manatee.
We've never seen circumstances like this where we've had hundreds of manatees literally starving to death.
Historically, clear waters in Florida allow for vast beds of seagrass to nurture healthy populations of them. But this past year was devastating.
That goes back to the loss of seagrasses from too much nutrients that caused multiple algal blooms.
Even here, the seagrass is in patches, taking advantage of shallow water for what sunlight can pierce through these murky waters.
It's caused the system to pass a tipping point, and we've had one large algal bloom after another, literally cutting the light off to the seagrasses, causing them to die.
Patrick Rose, an aquatic biologist and executive director of the Save the Manatee Club, says these latest numbers should serve as a wake-up call, not only for clean water, but for caution in boating as well.
We've been breaking records on watercraft mortality too, and the number of injuries. So what you have now is this starvation or loss of forage on top of that.
In the hope that these gentle cows of the sea are here for years to come.